This is Brian Stanley-Toast. He lives in flat number 411. Brian Stanley-Toast's entire world is grey. Every room in his tiny flat is grey. Even his fish is grey. His living room has a single armchair and a small broken TV. It plays only static. Sometimes Brian Stanley-Toast watches static to pass the time. Brian Stanley-Toast has lived in this flat since he was 18. He does not have any family left. He's never had a friend, and no one has ever visited his home. He's not unhappy. He doesn't have enough imagination for it to bother him. This is his life, and he gets on with it. Brian Stanley-Toast works as an accounts verifier. He starts work at 8 a.m. and goes home at 6 p.m. On the way home, he stops to buy a small loaf of bread, a small carton of milk, and a steak and kidney pie ready meal. Ready meals save him time and effort. They require no imagination. Today will be the strangest day of Brian Stanley-Toast's life. He leaves work at 6 p.m. and walks home, stopping off at a little corner shop along the way to buy a small loaf of bread, a small carton of milk, and a steak and kidney pie ready meal. Brian Stanley-Toast has always found steak and kidney in his steak and kidney ready meal. Until today. Today it is curry. He's trying to recover from the shock when there's a knock at the door. Brian Stanley-Toast has never answered a knock at his door before, not to anyone, especially not to the most beautiful woman he has ever seen, Esmeralda Sky from the flat across the hall. Look, I know this is a little bit weird, but you're the only person in the building I know the name of, and it's a bit late notice, but I was wondering if you might be able to feed my fish while I'm on holiday. It'd only be for a few days. Thank you, Brian. Brian Stanley-Toast has his first curry that night. He doesn't enjoy it. It isn't a steak and kidney pie. After dinner, he sits and watches static to calm himself. At 8:30 p.m, Brian Stanley-Toast gets up and opens his faded green door. He crosses the hallway to number 408. This isn't so bad. Her faded green door looks the same as my faded green door. The room that greets him is like nothing he has ever seen before. The mess, the smell, the colour. Brian Stanley-Toast flees from number 408. He never wants to return. Brian Stanley-Toast cannot settle in front of the static tonight. He thinks he sees a glimpse of colour on the snowy screen. His mind wanders. He's not a heartless or cruel man. He cannot just leave Esmeralda's fish to starve. This time he blocks the mess and the art from his mind and walks straight across the room to the fish tank. It's not like his little fish bowl. He stares in wonder at the different fish in the big rectangular tank. He feeds the fish a pinch from the food pot and returns to number 411. Brian Stanley-Toast returns to his chair and his static. His heart rate gradually returns to normal. At 9 p.m, he goes to his room to feed his fish. There's something different about his fish tonight. Brian Stanley-Toast sits on the edge of his bed and stares. The next day is Saturday, and Brian Stanley-Toast makes his third trip across the hallway to the home of Esmeralda Sky. This time he's not going to feed the fish. For the first time in his life, he is experiencing curiosity. Brian Stanley-Toast spends the whole day in number 408. He explores the whole flat, every room, every cupboard. This night is the first night in his life that Brian Stanley-Toast has stayed up past midnight. He wants to see everything. He wants to open his mind and soul to the room, to the woman, and to the great big world. When he does sleep, he dreams a dream of a rainbow, and under its arch is the most beautiful woman he has ever seen, his neighbour, Esmeralda Sky. Brian Stanley-Toast wakes up late on Sunday, another first. He looks around. The vivid colours of his dream haven't seeped away with the daylight. He slides out of bed and pads softly into his new pastel world. He holds his breath, almost as if it could all go away if only he breathed on it. Brian Stanley-Toast can breathe easy. The colour is here to stay.